Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Everything around them fell into silence for a moment, with Jared frowning and telling himself, "Don't push her too hard. Jared Johnston is better than Mr. Johnston." So, he nodded and agreed, "I'm listening." Nicole paused, suddenly forgetting about what she wanted to say. She had already felt as if the atmosphere of their dinner together was a little awkward, but she felt even more uncomfortable now that she was about to say something. This marked the first time Nicole was actually bothered by the fact that she had lost her memories. She initially thought that she would just accept the fact that things would never be the same again, and focus on raising her 2 children. However, she wanted to remember what things were like before the present time, so that she could free herself from this struggle. "Why are you not saying anything?" Jared asked, noticing a hint of hesitation in Nicole's eyes as if there was something bothering her. "Forget it." Nicole shook her head, figuring that it would be better to just let things happen instead of forcing them. Putting their past relationship aside, Jared was still the father of her 2 children. Therefore, it would be inevitable for them to meet in the future no matter what. Nicole was relieved after thinking about that. She had returned to the Riddle family and figured that she would probably be living in San Joto for a long time. Because of that, she did not have to worry about those unnecessary things any longer. Nicole subconsciously smiled after the sense of relaxation took over her. Then, she lowered her head and started eating happily. The notion of whether the entire dinner was a date or not no longer bothered her, and all she wanted to do was fill her stomach. Jared watched every change in her expression as he subtly raised his brows. Even though he had no idea what she was thinking about, he could sense her emotions fluctuating. "Try some of this." Jared put some food on Nicole's plate without asking any more questions. Both of them carefully avoided any mentions about the subject as if nothing had happened. However, it was obvious that they were in a better mood than before. After finishing their meal, Nicole requested to return to the Riddle residence. Jared had initially planned to bring Nicole out on a night cruise, but Nicole was too worried about her children. So, he complied and did as he was asked. Then, he promised himself that he would bring the children along on their next date. They arrived at the gate of the Riddle residence, and there, they saw another car parked there, prompting them to halt behind it. Nicole was left feeling a little surprised after recognizing that it was Lawrence's car. "Why is Lawrence here at this hour? Did something happen?" Unexpectedly, Lawrence got out of the car, with Nolan following right behind him. "Nolan!" Nicole yelled, becoming even more shocked. Then, she opened the car door and stepped outside. "Nolan, where did you go?" She did not know how to feel about Lawrence taking Nolan out. Is something wrong with Nolan? If that's the case, why didn't anyone tell me about it? "Mommy!" Nolan ran toward Nicole and threw himself into her arms as soon as he saw her. Then, Lawrence walked over and smiled at Nicole. "You're back. Where did you guys go?" Nicole asked, feeling a little worried still. Lawrence patted Nolan's head and spoke before the boy could finish his sentence. "I didn't have anything to do today. I figured that you would probably be busy with work, so I took Nolan out to have some fun." "To have some fun?" Nicole frowned. Even though Lawrence would bring her children out occasionally, he would never leave Lana behind. With that in mind, Nicole could not help but wonder, why isn't Lana with them today? And as if he could read Nicole's mind, Lawrence explained, "Lana said that she wanted to spend some time with her grandmother, so I only took Nolan out." Nicole shifted her gaze to Nolan as if she was asking, "Is that true?" Nolan nodded. "Yeah. I've never been around San Joto, so I got curious and asked Godpa to bring me around." Nicole felt relieved after hearing that. "That's good. I thought that Nolan fell sick or got into some kind of trouble again." In the past, Nolan had a penchant for asking Lawrence to clean his mess up. "Don't worry. If there's anything wrong, I would have notified you as soon as possible," Lawrence said with a smile. "It's getting late. We'll go inside now," Nicole said without inviting Lawrence, knowing that he did not plan to go in since he had parked his car outside. "Sure," Lawrence nodded. "I'll go back now then." After Lawrence had gotten into his car and moved it aside, he watched as Nicole brought Nolan into Jared's car before it slowly wheeled into the driveway of the Riddle residence. Then, he saw the trio of Jared, Nicole, and Nolan entering the house together. Lawrence's dark gaze remained fixed on them as his aura turned cold. While it was true that he had brought Nolan out to play, they had only decided to spend some time with each other as they could not find Nicole anywhere. When Nolan called him in secret and told him to pick him up at home, he had no idea what Nolan was planning to do. As it turned out, Nolan wanted to look for Jared and Nicole together with him, and he even claimed that he would take his mother away from Jared during their date. Unfortunately for them, they could not find the couple anywhere. Although Nolan might not be aware of this, Lawrence knew very well that Jared had made some special arrangements to stop anyone from disrupting their date. He squinted his cold eyes as the aura around him took on a gloomier form. "I'm never going to let her go so easily." Inside the house, the living room was filled with noises, with everyone asking Nolan about his day, and with the boy telling them about his adventure in detail. "Nolan, just let me know whenever you feel like going out next time. I'll come with you." Samuel patted his chest and said enthusiastically, "Yeah. No one knows San Joto better than us," Spencer added. "Sure," Nolan replied. He was very much looking forward to that. Even though he had learned a lot about San Joto on the internet previously, experiencing it in person was a completely different thing altogether. "Lana, why didn't you tag along?" Nicole asked Lana softly as Jared held her in his arms. "I wanted to go with Mommy and Daddy," Lana replied, her adorable voice melting everyone's heart. "Mommy and I will take you out someday, I promise," Jared promptly agreed as he had been thinking about the same thing. "Thank you, Daddy." Lana was delighted. When she was in kindergarten, her classmates' parents would take their kids out whenever there was a holiday, and yet, she and Nolan never had the opportunity to experience that at all. So, it had always been her wish to go out with her parents. "Oh you. Haha. Don't worry. From now on, you'll always have someone to take you wherever you want to go," Jared finished. Everyone there was so amused by Lana's innocent words that they could not help but look at her with love and affection. However, Nicole was the only person feeling a little bitter. She knew exactly what her children were thinking, and it was true that she was not able to provide them with the warmth of a family when they were living abroad. Still, Nolan and Lana were very sensible kids. They had never said anything that would hurt her feelings, but that did not mean that they did not have any wishes of a proper family. "Daddy and Mommy will take you guys out to play when we have the time," Nicole said dejectedly. "Mommy is the best," Lana cheered. Meanwhile, Nolan glanced at Jared, revealing a hint of reluctance deep within. Needless to say, he preferred going out with Lawrence. Jared noticed the look on Nolan's face and felt a little helpless within. "This little brat can never measure up to my baby angel. Daughters are truly the best." The family chatted happily for a while after that, and when it was getting late, they went back to their rooms to sleep. After putting Nolan and Lana to bed, Nicole returned to her room, where she saw Jared looking out the window as if he was thinking about something. He only turned to Nicole after he had heard some noises. "Are they asleep?" "Yeah," Nicole said in a tone of defeat. "They got too excited just now and it took them some time to fall asleep." "You should go to bed now too," Jared advised, figuring that Nicole must have been exhausted following her abrupt return to the Riddle Corporation. "Sure." Nicole nodded. Then, she asked, "What about you? Are you not going to sleep?" But after uttering those words, she felt an instant pang of regret. What did I just say? It sounded as if I was asking him to sleep with me. A subtle smile appeared on Jared's face as he playfully said, "I'm waiting for my lady's consent." Feeling very embarrassed, she glared at Jared in annoyance. "Who's your lady? And what makes you think I care if you're going to sleep or not? I'm going to bed now." After saying that, Nicole laid down on the bed and pulled the blanket over to wrap herself tightly like a burrito. Seeing that, Jared could not help but laugh. Look at how shy she became. He walked to his own bed, worried that cracking another joke at this moment would make her angrier, after which he pulled the blanket over and lied down on the bed too. He was already glad that Nicole's attitude toward him had changed. So, he had to appreciate it and not mess it up. He was in a rather good mood, and with that, he fell asleep very soon after. However, that was not the case for Nicole. Thinking about what happened earlier, Nicole felt her heart thumping uncontrollably as her cheeks were burning hot. What was wrong with me? Although she had decided to go with the flow, she was still surprised by how differently she had begun to treat Jared in such a short span of time. Her mind was in a mess. She tossed and turned, and her gaze coincidentally fell on Jared, who had fallen asleep. Nicole looked at him, unable to help herself from biting her lip lightly. Although she could not remember him or recall their past, she had started to trust him a little bit more after having spent a few days with him. The next morning, the rays of sunlight filtered in through the window. Nicole had slept a little late last night, and Jared was already up by the time she was awake. "You're awake." Nicole heard a gentle voice, and before she could realize what was happening, she could feel a light kiss on her lips. It was just a gentle peck, one that Nicole could not even react to, and before she knew it, Jared had already pulled her out of the bed. "Freshen up. Everyone's probably waiting for you to have breakfast," Jared ordered, doing everything so smoothly as if it was perfectly natural for him. Before she could realize it, Jared had already pulled her into the bathroom. Having allowed him to steal a kiss from her frustrated her, as she did not manage to give Jared a warning about it. She hurriedly washed her face and brushed her teeth. When she got changed, she realized that Jared was still there waiting for her. In response, she walked up to him and in a serious tone of voice, she said, "Don't ever do that again." "Do what?" Jared lifted his brows, looking a little mischievous. Although she had a stern look on her face, Jared could tell that she was just faking it, and was not outraged by what he had done. Nicole glared at Jared the second he asked her that question. He was obviously playing dumb, and she did not believe that he did not know what she meant. "You're well aware of that," she said through gritted teeth. "Like this." Jared extended his long arms and pulled her in by her waist, before planting a kiss on her lips. This time, he did not just give her a peck. His domineering presence was so strong that it felt as though he was going to devour her. Nicole attempted to break free, but Jared had already locked her in his arms, denying her the chance to escape. Then, they heard a knock at the door. "Are you awake, Mommy?" An adorable voice asked in concern. Nicole recollected herself and pushed Jared away. While Jared was distracted, Nicole had already backed away by a few steps. Her heart was racing, but she did not have the time to calm down. She simply righted her clothes and opened the door when she saw her darling children outside. "Mommy, it's time for breakfast. Everyone's waiting for you," Nolan reminded her as he looked up. "All right, let's eat," Nicole said, her heart still pounding in her chest, though she was trying her best to not show it. Jared, who was ready to toss all restraint out of the window a few seconds ago, calmed down as well. His self-control was nowhere to be found whenever he was with Nicole. "Daddy, aren't you joining us?" Lana asked. "Mommy and Nolan have already left, but why is Daddy still here? He looks like he has something on his mind." Jared's heart melted when he saw how considerate Lana was. He held her up and said, "Okay, let's go now." "Sure." Lana wrapped her arms around his neck lovingly as she nodded. Jared took Lana downstairs to the dining room, where everyone had already gathered. They had left a spot for Jared next to Nicole, and that was where he took a seat. His sudden approach gave Nicole a panic attack for a minute there, as she tried her best to avoid any eye contact with him. She knew exactly what had happened just now, and there was a moment when she found her heart and mind spiraling out of control. Nope. Jared should move back to the estate. Every second with him is dangerous. If this continues, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself, even before I regain all of my memories, she concluded. But the instant she thought of what her parents' reaction to Jared leaving would be, especially her mother's, Nicole became hesitant. Jared's eyes lit up when he saw how she acted around him. She was afraid to look at him. What is she hiding? Is she shy? After their breakfast, everyone returned to their own lives. "Dad, I'll go with you today," Nicole called out the moment she saw him leaving. "What's wrong?" Daniel asked, a little taken aback as his eyes wandered to Jared. Jared usually takes Nicole to work, So why is she asking to join me today? Did something happen between them? Daniel asked himself. It's about Uncle Dexter's company. I want to talk to you about it. Nicole explained, coming up with a random excuse to dispel everyone's assumptions before they could even be uttered. Then, Daniel nodded and replied, all right. He's waiting for your updates too. Let's go then. Nicole said, eager to leave as soon as her father had agreed. It was a compelling and legitimate reason, so no one gave it much of a thought. However, Jared was cognizant of what was going on as he stared at Nicole without exposing her. He knew that Dexter needed some help with his company. But even if it has something to do with work, can't they talk about it in the office? Do they really have to talk about it on their way to work? It was obvious that Nicole was avoiding him. But the second he thought of how embarrassing the situation was for her, Jared decided to let it all slide. He wanted to give her some time and space. Otherwise, it would be a pity for him if his impatience pushed her further away from him. Soon after, each of the cars left the house one after another, and while Nicole was carpooling with Daniel, she went on to discuss about Dexter. It was only right for Nicole to keep the act going. Furthermore, Dexter and the family were kind. They had a good relationship with Daniel as well. Dad, what is your opinion on Uncle Dexter's matter? Nicole candidly asked. Daniel shook his head. Dexter's company has always relied on the head office's support to sustain itself. But because the head office's position isn't as great as it was before, they'll have to suffer as well. The both of them had tried their best, and had even considered a multitude of possibilities. In the end, they still agreed that none of Dexter's immediate family members were skilled enough in business management. I've done my investigation, and it is true that Uncle Dexter lacks awareness of business trends. He does not have any capable assistants around too. Emery's interest does not lie in the field of business management, and Ella has just graduated as well. Even if Ella is interested, he is inexperienced and time is definitely needed for him to receive the training he needs, Nicole said as she analyzed the situation carefully. Daniel nodded in agreement as what Nicole had said was on point. Dad, although Uncle Dexter's company is relying on the head office, they should be able to survive. However, I still think we should solve the chief issue and tackle it from the management itself, Nicole concluded. Yes. After all, it'll be better for them to succeed on their own. They can't operate under the shadow of the head office forever, Daniel also agreed. It was not that Daniel was unwilling to help Dexter. Daniel just felt that he should help Dexter and the rest grow and stand out on their own. After all, it made no sense as to why they would want to be at the sidelines forever. Since you've agreed to it, I'll let you talk to Uncle Dexter about this matter. As for the proposal, I'll discuss it with Sean, Nicole replied solemnly. Seeing how Nicole could calmly talk about work casually even though she no longer had any of her past memories, Daniel could not help but feel emotional. You've worked really hard. She has just returned, and she does not know much about any of these things. Yet, she has to shoulder all of these responsibilities. As your father, I owe you a lot, he thought. Nicole shook her head lightly and comforted Daniel. No, it's just that I was late. Previously, when Nicole was assailed and close to losing her life, she did not dare to return because of her kids. If she knew that there was a family which loved her so immensely here, and that they were suffering from their loss of her, Nicole would have given herself the courage to return. Nicole, your safety is still at risk. You must always be careful, Daniel warned. And indeed, the entire family could not bear the thought of Nicole getting hurt anymore. I will protect myself. Nicole firmed her gaze, swearing that she would protect everyone too. Soon after, they arrived at the headquarters of the Riddle Corporation, and the car came to a halt. After the two of them had gotten down from the car, they strode into the building, with Nicole heading straight to Sean's office. What was the final decision? Sean asked without mincing words. I have discussed this with Dad and we'd like to hear your opinion on this. Nicole briefly explained. All right, leave it to me. Sean nodded in agreement as he was fully supportive of their decision, no matter what it would be. Okay, I'll return to my office now. Nicole turned around, about to leave. However, it was then that Sean stopped her. Hold on. Anything else? Nicole asked in a soft voice. It's more of a personal matter. Sean looked at Nicole and his eyes narrowed in seriousness. What happened to you and Jared? Nicole was taken aback, and knowing that she could not hide it from Sean, she awkwardly replied, nothing much. It's just that I have yet to regain my memories, so I'm still not used to certain things. Certain things? Sean asked, his eyes filled with doubt. Did I just ask her about something I should not know about? Staring directly at Sean's eyes, Nicole came back to her senses at once. She could not help but blush as she tried to defend herself. No, that was not what I meant. It's just that it feels weird to have someone I barely know as my legal husband by my side. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about anything else. Don't get all nervous, Sean assured, able to tell that Nicole was panicking. He was also sure that he had asked her the wrong question. Nicole twitched her lips. This seems like something I can't really describe. Forget it, the more I explain, the messier it gets. I should just stay silent. It's up to Sean to think whatever he wants to think. While trying her best to stay composed, Nicole replied, I'll leave the assignment of staff members to you. I'll head out now. Okay. Sean regained his poise as if he was talking business, not wanting Nicole to feel embarrassed. Then, Nicole turned around and left for her office. When she recalled that messy answer she gave, Nicole's cheeks began flushing. Sean must have misunderstood her words, but then again, these are not the sort of things she could easily explain. Thus, she could only leave it as it was. Damn it, Jared Johnston. This is all your fault. I think I should just get you to move back home. As for Mom, I'll have to find a way to persuade her. After all, I can't allow Mom to worry about me, at least not more than she already is, she thought. Just as Nicole was about to be buried in her thoughts, her phone rang. Seeing that it was a call from Lawrence, Nicole picked it up. Hello. How was my suggestion? Is Chairwoman Riddle interested in partnering with me? Lawrence's happy voice asked through her phone. I see that you are starting to joke around with me now. Are you sure you'd want to continue calling me by that title? Nicole replied while laughing. Of course not. I just want to remind you that you will be shouldering even more responsibilities in the future, Lawrence said, his voice carrying a hint of sadness. If Nicole had not returned, she would not have to worry about all these. She could take care of Nolan and Lana while living a simple and happy life. That was Lawrence's wish for her from the get-go anyway. I understand. Nicole replied. Since the responsibility was hers, she would not abdicate. Then, Lawrence hesitated for a moment before speaking again. Can I come upstairs? You're downstairs. Nicole asked, shocked and wondering why Lawrence would appear at her office. Yes. If you think that the partnership proposal is satisfactory, we could discuss the details. I gave it some thought and decided it's best for me to come over, he replied. In truth, Lawrence did not wish to pass up any opportunity he could get to meet Nicole. I'll send someone to bring you up. All right. After Nicole had hung up, she ordered the secretary to bring Lawrence upstairs. As soon as Lawrence entered Nicole's office, he looked at the room and praised, "This really is from the Riddle family. Have a seat." Nicole signaled the secretary. 2 cups of coffee, please." Noted. The secretary replied and walked out. Nicole and Lawrence took their seats on the couch, whereupon Nicole went straight to the point. "I've read the proposal and there are no objections from my side. You can prepare the contract." "As long as you're satisfied with it," Lawrence replied, not surprised in the slightest. After all, he knew Nicole very well. Work matters would have to be dealt with via the official way. If he were to mix work and personal matters up, Nicole would reject it instead. "I'd have to thank you for this," she stated. Although the partnership was done in a professional manner, Nicole knew that Lawrence was doing her a favor by partnering with the Riddle Corporation during such a time. It's a win-win situation. Lawrence smiled. "Here's your coffee." The secretary entered the room, placed the coffee on the table, and left. Lawrence held his mug up and took a sip. Then, he casually remarked, "The Riddle family has been preparing a banquet to celebrate your return. It seems like a grand one." Yeah. In the end, this is not just about my return. It is mainly for the company, she replied. If it was just for Nicole's return, a celebration with her parents and brothers would be more than enough. In that case, would I get the honor of receiving an invitation? Lawrence asked. He was rarely this serious, and the banquet was the reason as to why he had personally showed up today. You want to come? Nicole asked as she gave it some thought. All the distinguished politicians and businessmen would be invited, especially the business tycoons who had a collaborative relationship with the Riddle Corporation. It would most definitely be a good networking opportunity. All right, I'll arrange one to be sent out to you. Nicole promised. Thank you. Lawrence happily said. But I might not be able to entertain you on the day itself. Nicole said, as there would be a lot of guests that day. One could only imagine how busy Nicole would be. No worries, I can take care of myself, Lawrence replied. He was fine as long as he could be there to watch her. He also understood that Nicole would not have any more energy to entertain him. It was more than enough if she could handle the whole crowd on her own. After that, Lawrence looked at the time and said, "It's almost noon. Let's have lunch together as a pre-celebration for the success of our partnership." Nicole looked up at the wall clock. I did not realize it's already this late. Sure, we'll just find somewhere nearby. Nicole agreed and sauntered out of the office with Lawrence. Nicole. It was then that they bumped into Steve. Seeing that Lawrence was around, Steve could not help but ask, "The both of you are heading out?" "It's almost lunchtime, we're heading out to grab something to eat," Nicole replied. "I was just about to ask you to go out for lunch too. Why don't we go together? Is that fine?" Steve asked with an intention to test them. "Of course it's fine," Nicole replied, finding the question funny. Why would it not be fine? Hearing this, Lawrence could only echo, "Of course, we're just heading out for a meal since it's lunchtime." "Let's go," Steve uttered, still pretending as if they had bumped into each other for lunch. Before they entered the elevator, Steve followed Nicole closely, tracking her every move. However, he still maintained a considerable distance, so that his act would not seem too obvious. However, Lawrence raised his brows in suspicion either way. At that moment, his eyes were brimming with suspicion. Did I do anything wrong? Why does Steve seem to be so protective? All I've ever talked about is work. I've never had the chance to ask Nicole about anything personal. After a simple lunch, Lawrence bade them goodbye and left the place. Since the office was nearby, the duo of Nicole and Steve took a stroll back to the office. "Steve, do you have an issue with Lawrence?" Nicole casually asked. Although Steve was more than well behaved, Nicole knew that he was not the kind to mingle around with other people in general. It was unusual for him to take the initiative and join others for lunch. Steve sighed and shook his head. As expected, I'm not good at hiding. Lawrence had not said anything, but his presence reeked with ulterior motives. Even Nicole felt as though she would not want to meet up with Lawrence anymore after that. What's wrong with Lawrence? Nicole asked, believing that Steve was not one to be wary of someone for no reason. Nothing's wrong. No matter what, he is still considered a stranger to all of us, he replied. Even though he was the one who had saved Nicole, they could not take him as a close friend. They were of course grateful to him. Hearing this, Nicole hesitantly nodded. Understood. Steve's attitude toward Lawrence was reasonable. Other than Nicole, Nolan, and Lana, it was possible that everyone else had the same thoughts as Steve too. Nicole, there are certain things in life which can only be felt from the heart. That which can be seen might not be the truth in its entirety. This is especially true for those who are good at putting on a mask. Their real intentions are the hardest to ascertain, Steve explained. Nicole frowned a little. She felt that Steve was trying to remind her about something else. But when she turned over, Steve had already walked ahead with a calm look on his face. It was as if he had spoken those words casually. Although Nicole could not fully comprehend it, she knew that Steve's words were uttered with genuine intentions. Therefore, she replied, "Don't worry, Steve. I will be careful." Since it was a reminder, Steve would naturally be referring to the things or people around her. After all, San Joto was still considered as a dangerous place for Nicole. Other than her family members, she could not afford to trust anyone else easily. Your homecoming banquet is happening soon. Don't be too nervous on that day. We will be there and will help you out. Steve changed the topic, not wanting Nicole to dwell on his words. A surge of warmth inundated Nicole's heart, and her eyes gleamed with joy. Nodding, she said, "Got it." As long as her family was always there to accompany her, Nicole would not be nervous or scared anymore. The sun was setting, and soon, dusk descended upon them. After she had ended a day's work, Nicole ambled out of the office building. "Mommy!" The two little cutie pies ran over with their tiny legs carrying them. Nicole was surprised as she was not aware that Nolan and Lana would be there. "Nolan, Lana, what are you guys doing here? Daddy brought us here." As Lana was pointing away with her chunky fingers, Jared got out of the car and approached them. "Why did you bring them out?" Nicole asked in confusion. "I promised them that I'll bring them out to play. So, how could I go back on my word?" Jared replied confidently. Nicole could not resist from rolling her eyes after she heard that. It's true that he promised them, but the promise never included the part where it must be done right away, did it? "Mommy, Daddy said he's going to bring us to a night cruise. We can watch the night view at San Joto." Lana eagerly. Noticing how excited Lana and everyone else present were, Nicole could only pinch Lana's chubby cheeks and mutter, "You naughty one. Hee hee, this is what a family trip is. Everyone at school has been in at least one, except for Nolan and I." Now, Lana could finally tell the other kids that her parents had brought her out on a family trip. "What do you mean you never had one? Has Godpa never brought you out?" Nolan asked, unable to forget about Lawrence. "Godfather is not my real dad. So of course, that doesn't count," Lana said mischievously. In her heart, Jared is her only daddy, so much so that even her godfather did not qualify. "Let's go. We'll have a meal before going on the cruise," Jared reminded while he was thoroughly elated by what Lana had said. After that, he carried Lana up and asked her, "Lana, what do you want to eat?" "I want to have a hamburger." After those words had left Lana's mouth, she sneakily looked at Nicole as she wanted to see what her mother's reaction would be. Seeing how Lana was acting, Nicole knew what that little was thinking about at once. This made her feel a little helpless. This little one is growing up to be a monkey soon. She clearly knows that I don't allow her to eat those things, so she asks from her dad. Of course, Jared had to fulfill Lana's request, so he immediately agreed to it. "Sure." Jared then strode toward the car while pulling Nicole by the hand. And as he had not forgotten about Nolan, he said, "You better catch up if you'd like to have some too." Initially, Nolan wanted to rebel and say that he did not want any of it. However, there would be no way for him to observe them if he did not join them. He wanted to keep an eye on the annoying man and prevent him from stealing his godfather's position. The family of four arrived at a hamburger restaurant not long after, and once they were seated, Jared went to the counter and queued up. Among the crowd that was queuing, Jared, being extremely eye-catching, was the one who stood out. In fact, everyone could not help but look at him more than twice. "Mommy, Daddy actually went and queued up on his own." Lana looked at Jared with gleaming eyes. "It really feels good to have a daddy." Indeed, that slender figure was so attractive that people in crowd could not take their eyes off him. Nicole did not expect Jared to humble himself and queue up on his own. This was probably the very first time he had done something like this throughout his life. All these years, it was Godpa who'd helped Mommy take care of us." Nolan complained with a tone of dismay, feeling that Lawrence was better. "That was because Daddy couldn't find us," Lana argued, refusing to back down. She believed that if they had stayed with Jared over the past 5 years, they would have lived a better life. The two little ones began to argue, and after a while, Nicole got annoyed and warned, "Keep quiet. Otherwise, we're going home." They were not too loud, but not too soft either. This caused everyone around them to dart their eyes at the family, giving them weird glances. Just at that very moment, Jared returned with trays of food which he had ordered in his hands. "That's a lot." Nicole clicked her tongue as she stared at the mound of food atop the tray. "We'll eat this together." The kids loved to eat them, and besides there were 2 adults. As such, Jared had to buy more. This prompted Nicole to look at them in confusion. "You're eating this too?" Jared's eyes lit up and carefully he asked, "Should I not eat them?" It was true that Jared did not eat food such as these. But as he was hanging out with Nicole and the kids, he did not really mind. However, there was a strange glint in Nicole's eyes, making him wonder if she had recalled something. Nicole choked for a moment. She frowned and thought hard about it. She did not know if Jared ate this kind of food or not, but she could almost remember a detail which made her feel that Jared did not. But when she tried even harder to think, her mind went blank. As he noted Nicole's expression, Jared knew that he had thought too much. Nicole had not regained another memory. However, Jared did not feel disappointed at all. In fact, he was surprised by the occurrence, as that meant the memories buried under Nicole's subconscious mind were still active. Perhaps one day, she might even remember everything. "Mommy, Daddy, you guys should eat too," Lana offered, holding a hamburger in hand before passing it to Jared and Nicole. "All right, you should have some too." Nicole lifted her hands and grabbed it. Then, she patted Lana's head gently. The 2 little ones became silent as they ate their hamburgers, and so were their parents, who did not continue with their conversation. Nicole did not notice that the corner of her lips was smudged with salad dressing. When Jared saw it, he could not help but smile. Then, he lifted his hand and wiped the sauce off from her lips in a loving gesture. That sudden action made Nicole freeze. It was as if that soft and gentle touch was lingering on her lips, even after he had stopped. Her heart could not stop racing. "Wow, you're so lucky. Your kids are already at this age and yet, the both of you are still so loving. This family looks so beautiful. All 4 of them are good-looking." Whispers were surrounding them. From time to time, there would be looks of envy shot at their general direction too. Nicole's cheeks began to flush, and she could only stare at Jared in annoyance, signaling him to watch his actions. "We are a family after all," Jared said, not taking her seriously. Instead, he felt that what those people had said were right and that they had a keen eye. "That's right, Mommy. The happiness we share as a family of 4 should be the kind that is envied by others," Lana commented with a huge smile on her face. "Lana." Nicole gestured to Lana to stop spouting nonsense as her embarrassment grew. "It's true, Mommy. When I go back to school, I must tell my friends that I have a daddy too. My daddy is a tall and handsome man, and he treats us well. Everyone will admire me." Lana spoke her mind out loud with an innocent demeanor. Nicole opened her mouth but remained tight-lipped anyway. Her biggest regret was that she was not able to provide a complete family unit for her kids. "Lana, do you want to go back to the island?" Jared frowned after learning that they wanted to go back to school. "Are they really planning to go back?" "Yes. Nolan and I will still have to go to school," Lana replied naturally. Hearing this, Jared tried to test her further. "What if you could go to school in San Joto? Is it really possible?" Lana's eyes lit up. If she could stay, that would be the best thing ever. That way, she would not be separated from her daddy. "Of course, I have passed the information to your mommy. After mommy has made her decision, both of you can go to school. What do you think?" Jared asked, his gaze tender and his heart at ease. "Then, will you be able to send me to school, Daddy?" Lana blinked her big round eyes and asked eagerly. "Of course I can." Jared promised immediately. Lana became overjoyed at that very instant. She finally had a daddy who would pick her up and send her to school. On top of that, she would not be looked down on by any of the other kids anymore. Nolan bit his lips, as he actually looked forward to it. When they were at the island, all of the other kids would have their moms and dads to pick them up and send them to and from school. Lana and Nolan were the only ones without. That was why Nolan always asked his godfather to pick them up. He even told the other kids that Lawrence was their dad so that the kids would stop laughing at them. When Jared noticed Nolan's eyes lighting up even though he was remaining quiet, Jared's eyes darkened. He actually pitied them. Jared understood Nolan's behavior and attitude toward him, and he knew it was definitely because of the hardships they had to endure at such a young age. That was why they would lean toward Lawrence more often than not. After all, Lawrence was the only person who could make them feel warm. That was also why Nolan remained resistant toward Jared. However, Nolan still had a yearning for a father's love, and it was obvious that Jared owed it to him. The little ones should have grown up happily, and without any worries. If Jared had been able to locate them earlier, perhaps the outcome would have been different at this moment. "Daddy, what does the school look like at San Joto? Are they like the ones on the island?" Lana's questioned, bringing Jared back to reality. "You'll find out when you go. The both of you will like it." Jared lifted Lana and brought her into his arms. His love for this affectionate daughter grew even more with each second spent with her. "Mommy, when are you choosing a school for us?" Nolan asked in a low voice. In the future, they would have to stay in San Joto. Because of this, everything would have to be moved there. Naturally, they would have to attend school here too, but Nolan still wished to share about his life with his godfather.
Please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.